Hey, it's Nicola here from Conscious Crypto Traders, and we're going to dive deep into the consciousness part of conscious crypto and talk about numerology and how it can help us get forewarned and forearmed of what's going on in the crypto market, and maybe even use it to pick which altcoins and when to buy altcoins and Bitcoin and so on. And I'm joined with one of our speakers at the Conscious Crypto event coming up in October, starting October 15th, Liza Spiridon. Hi, Lisa. How are you doing?
Hi, Nicola. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Lisa is a numerologist, and she has a community of people into crypto using numerology to give them the leading edge on being in that space and profiting in it. So today we're going to learn all about how we can use numbers to help us become more profitable. So Lisa, first of all, I know many of our followers will know what numerology is, but just in case we have some that aren't quite sure, might even be a little skeptical, what is numerology?
I will give the shortest version possible. So it's a good question to ask because when you've been doing it for a while, it's good to be able to explain it. So numerology, the way that I was taught, the way I understand it is it's a study of numbers. It's the study of patterns. We see it in our birthdays. We see it in sacred geometry. We see it in our names because every letter, every word has a numeric vibration. So when we look at numerology, it's an ancient science which was created by Pythagoras. So if you know math, Pythagorean theorem, he's the brainchild behind that. And numerology has been around for over 2,000 years. So we can use it to better understand ourselves, others through our innate talents, our innate strengths, but also we can see cycles in our personal lives collectively, and then also apply it to whatever we're making decisions on, whether it's when to get married, when to start a new career. And then recently I discovered, why not look at crypto? Look at the trends within crypto. Crypto is numbers, crypto is patterns, crypto has dates. And I know we're going to dive into that, but numerology in a nutshell is the study of numbers and how we can apply it to our lives so that we can have a deeper understanding of ourselves as well as the world.
Yeah. And Pythagoras is somebody that we all learned at school in math with geometry, but they took out the numbers and how it can point us in certain directions in life and help us make decisions. That was snipped out conveniently, right? So his body of work, we've only got a really small amount of it in our school system for obvious purposes.
Yeah, I wish I knew that Pythagoras was the creator of numerology back in my school days, because I would have been, wow, numerology? Okay, this works better with the way my brain works, not the calculus, geometry, traditional schooling ways.
Yeah, exactly. I was like that as well with physics, right? Physics didn't make sense until I started reading Buckminster Fuller, and a friend of mine does a workshop called Future by Design using physics to show you how to build better businesses, and using the physics laws, one of them being the law of attraction, which most people by now know about. But physics is physics, how it's taught at school. I had no relationship to it at all, and math I wasn't that good at because I was dyslexic. So yeah, absolutely. Had we learned the esoteric side of numbers and the esoteric and the quantum physics side of physics, I would have been way more interested. So how did you make the link then between using what you were doing with people, helping them figure out their life number and getting career direction and so on? How did you then bridge that gap and go, I can link this to crypto, and then, start a crypto community in this field?
So it starts back in 2017 where I was using it personally. So I actually started with XRP. I just had a natural gravitation to XRP without really understanding the utility, the purpose of it. So I actually looked at the numeric vibration of XRP. And I was like blown away. In numerology, when we look at the numeric vibration, we look at three aspects. We look at the destiny. So like, what is the outcome of it? We look at the underlying desire of it, like the underlying intention. And then we look at the attributes of it. So when I'm looking at XRP, which is Ripple, right? Well, some people, we won't get into the nitty gritty. We'll keep it very, right. It's a 22-0-22. So someone might go, well, what does that mean?
That's two master numbers. 22 is a master number, right?
Right. 22, when you look at the single digit number, it deducts to a 4. 22 and 4 represent structure. It represents stability. It means sustainability, and it means it's going to be around for a long time.
Yeah, that's good to know.
It is. And what's interesting, so this is where you connect it in. So Ripple, because I was looking at the dates they were introduced to the world. Ripple was introduced in 2012. 2012, when you look at the numbers, because there's universal years, which have specific themes, lessons that we are here to learn collectively, 2 + 1 + 2 is a 5. Well, what is 2021? What universal year are we in this year? We're in a 5. So what's interesting, if you know the history of Ripple, especially with recent unfoldings with the SEC lawsuit, that tells me we are coming to a closure with XRP. It's telling me that there's going to be some turbulence, some volatility, which is to be expected in a 5 universal year. But it also tells me that circle is coming to a completion, and there's the next step that's going to be manifested from the XRP, which is more people will be less skeptical about it, more open to investing in it, which in turn means it's just going to moonshot, if you were to ask me the exact date, I'm not an oracle, but if you were to look at the numbers are telling me most likely in October is a good time that it will happen. So we'll see if it happens. If it does, I am collecting data and research on this, because as we know, crypto is only 12 years old. So I'm collecting information, but what I can do in the meantime is I can look at the numeric vibrations, I can look at trends and patterns, and then I can tie it into like, when is a good time to invest? What is a good coin to invest in? Is this a short, mid, or long-term coin you should invest in based on the current cycles we're in collectively, but also tying it into the individual numbers? Because as we know in numerology, we have specific themes within a year. So a specific day, month, or year might be better for us to invest in specific things versus other times.
Totally. And I look at numbers really, really, really closely. I mean, XRP is one of my favorites for a couple of reasons. And the biggest reason was when I got into it knowing that they were in a lawsuit, and I just instinctively felt that these guys the Ripple team are leading the way in how cryptos will be regulated. So this SEC lawsuit is really a test case. And we know recently that Gary Ginsberg has said that as far as they're concerned, most cryptos are securities, right? So so instinctively, I knew that this court case was going to be really important to the entire crypto universe. And the other reason why I loved it, and I know a lot of traditional Bitcoiners don't like XRP so much because it's dealing with banks, but it is taking the banking industry on in some way, and it's helping them cross over into a new system. So that we've got some dates coming up in October, and that this makes sense. That on this channel we talk a lot about that we've been in Saturn retrograde from May 26th, I think it was, somewhere around there, and we come out. We're in stationary now, which is why we're seeing a little bit of a rally, and then we go direct on the 10th of October. And Saturn has always, whenever it's gone retrograde, it's always affected the stock market. There's always been, like skirmishes happening in the stock market. And now, of course, it's happening in the Bitcoin market. So let's speculate here, Liza. What if Saturn being restriction, retarded growth, what if we could make prediction that sometime in the next couple of weeks, up to the 10th of, maybe even the 11th or 12th of October, or you had another number that was good, we're going to have the Jack in the Box come out for XRP, whereby the lid is taken off. The SEC lid that's been holding them down is get taken off, and now they're free to be, to be what they are and what they should be.
Yeah, so we're approaching Mercury retrograde, right? The peak. So we're right now in the shadow phase. The peak starts September 27th, which is Monday. Okay. And if you're familiar with Mercury retrograde, there's a shadow phase, there's a peak, there's a shadow, and then you'll feel the remnant. So because the peak ends around the 17th of October, I would be inclined to say that if the lawsuit were to be lifted, it would be around that time, because the other part of Mercury retrograde is things that need to be completed, right? Usually happen around that time. Right. I always say, also be careful if you have an ex, they might be contacting you, but that's a whole other conversation. So going back to what you were asking, Nicola, the key dates I've been looking at. So as we know, September is a 9 month, right? 9 is endings and completions in numerology, but it's also new beginnings. So 9/27 is a date to take note of, because not only do we have the 9 month, we also have the 9 day, 2 + 7 = 9 in numerology. So that's a double 9. But then you add in the 5, which is the collective energy for the universal year. So it might say expect the unexpected. But to me, expect the unexpected is a good outcome, because you have the 2 9s, and the 9, because you have that repeating 9 in it, that's saying it's a collective energy. It's the humanitarian, it's the it's the visionary. So it really is saying that we're going to come out of this even better than when we were in it.
Yeah. And like traditionally for crypto, September hasn't been the best month. It's been a correction month. But this September, it's really been about lifting itself up out of the doldrums of Bitcoin, particularly being under 40K. So with cryptos in general, and then XRP, September then is, okay, enough already. We're ending that phase, and now we're going into a new phase. And certainly by the 10th, most certainly by the 17th, 18th, we could see some moonshot going on. Are there any other coins other than XRP that you think are in alignment with these numbers?
So Bitcoin is always a great coin to look at. So I did an article on that recently talking about the numerology, and not Bitcoin is a 369, which if you look at it,
multiples of 3.
It's ascension, right? It's ascension. Yeah. So it tells you it's just going to it's going to keep being adopted. More people are going to start looking at it as, the potential that it has, right? It's the grandmother, I like to say, of all crypto, because everything else, as we know, besides Bitcoin, is called an altcoin. So when you're looking at the altcoins, we know about the Ethereum, we know about the Ethereum 2.0. So what that tells me is the 2.0 is going to really take off most likely in the next year or so, because the 2 vibration in Ethereum 2.0, we're approaching 2022, which is 3 2s in a row. So when we're looking at that, that's just going to magnify it, because anything that has more than one of the same number always tells me that that number is going to be the focus within that whole perspective. So going back to other coins, I looked at Bitcoin, I looked at Ethereum, and I looked at Ripple. Ripple, as we already talked about, it's looking like, it's more promising coming the end of September, October sometime. ADA, Cardano, is another really good coin to take a look at. If you know about ADA Cardano, it's pretty much its direct competitor with Ethereum. But when you're looking at the ADA, it's a 141. 1 is like the pioneer, the leader. 4 is the structure and the stability. And then you have 1 again. So what that tells me is it might actually surpass Ethereum in the long run. That is to be That is to be determined, again, but just based on the numeric vibration, that's what it's indicating to me. It doesn't mean it's going to happen anytime soon, right? Because as we know with crypto, for something to really hold on into the crypto market, right? Because there's a lot of turnover, it needs to be slow and steady. Anything, as we've seen, that moonshots usually has a correction or fizzles out eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's consistent with Vedic astrology, because Vedic astrology predicts that ADA is the Ethereum killer, because people say, is Polkadot the Ethereum killer? And, you throw out all these other coins, but Vedic astrology confirms numerology in terms of the number energy and the consciousness and what have you, that ADA is actually the Ethereum killer. I don't know if Ethereum's ever going to die, but in terms of surpassing its percentage increase, that's certainly on the cards for sure.
Yeah, and a good year to look at Cardano is 2025. I don't know if that matches up with Vedic astrology, but 2025 is a very important year to take a look at from a numerology lens.
Well, it's a 9-year. And 2022, we talk quite a bit about when is the end of the bull cycle. And Lisa, by the way, guys, is going to be one of our awesome speakers on an expert panel at the Conscious Crypto event. So make sure you get your ticket. Link is below. For 2022, like a lot of analysts, especially people who've been in the crypto space for a while, they just go, December's the top of the market. And then we go from bull to bear. That happens every cycle. December is the top. But 2022 is a master number. So that's going to be a really big year. And there's a lot more talk. Willie Woo's talking about this, about how we had that double top concept, but we're going to go into, because we've had such a doldrums, several months of being in the doldrums, it's extending the bull market a little bit. And we might see a top in January, or Vedic astrology predicts the top of the market with big dips in between in March, I think it is March, April. So you're saying like Cardano and even XRP going into 2022 could still be on the rise.
It could still be on the rise. I mean, of course, with any bear market, everything is going to be impacted, right? But I think that Cardano and XRP are really going to shine through and show its potential, especially even during the bear market. Right. Of course, it's going to take a hit just like all other coins do during the 4-year cycle every time a bear market happens. But here's the other thing, right? As more adoption happens, as less volatility takes place, these bear markets, I suspect, are not going to happen as and not be as intense, not be as long, there'll be more stability, more structure. So 222 to me tells me that might be the year that we'll have mass adoption. We'll have more people who are not as speculative. We'll have more people who want to hodl, and everything that comes with crypto, and really understand what crypto is intended for. Crypto is the gateway to financial sovereignty. Crypto is removing the intermediary, everything that has drawn people like us to crypto. And of course, we're only 12 years into crypto, and we're at 7 or 8% adoption worldwide with crypto. So in order for something to really take off statistically, from the research I've done, it needs to be about 15-16% mass adoption before it skyrockets. Right. So we're about halfway there, but you tie in exponential growth, right, with that, and you're going to go, okay. And what's interesting is if you do hit that 15%, 1 + 5 is 6. 2022 is a 6 also. So that tells me that there's a really good chance 2022 is going to be the year that crypto changes and bear markets may or may not be as frequent and as long.
Right. And we might see maybe more, like during a bull market, we often see dips of 20, 30, 40%. We recently, that big dump went down as far as 50% for Bitcoin and anywhere between 70 and 90% for altcoins. So we may see more of those, but not as bigger dips, but a little bit more frequently. So a little bit more volatility, right? That's a possibility.
Right. And that's the thing, no financial advice, not making any set predictions, but just like anything else, right? We use it as a tool, as a way to navigate and to make prudent decisions within what we're willing to risk. That's the key right there. So
I'm gonna ask you this question here, but I'm gonna give you an example of what happened to me using numbers. Like, how do we use the numerology to help us in trading and buying and selling, right? So here's how I used it recently. It's a Speedy year. We've been talking about this as soon as we started our channel. We introduced another speaker coming, Joachim Bollinger from the Blockchain Today. He talked about Schmiede year starting in September. The first day was the 7th. I happened to be in a long and I could start seeing some energy moving. And then I went, oh shit, today's the first day of the Schmiede year. And often there is a bit of a dump, right? And there was a significant dump. I think it was like 20 or 30%. And I just went, you know what, I'm getting out. And I just did market sell on all my longs. And then literally within that same minute, boom, it's just started plunging. So that's one way of using numbers, right? Is like, if you know that today is a potential dump day, you're monitoring your trades very carefully and you're getting ready to buy when the market hits the bottom. You're not buying at the top of the market and then, losing value for however long.
Right. Yeah. So that's one way to do it. The other thing is, like, when I work with clients, I'll look at their unique blueprint and then I'll just give them a roadmap to like, pay attention to these key dates, pay attention to these crypto coins. Let's talk about like, how much are you wanting to put into a coin? Are you also wanting to do a short, mid, or long-term investment? Because then we can create a portfolio around that and a strategy based on their, unique numerology blueprint and how it lines up with specific coins, specific trends, and the personal month, personal year they're in, because that also ties into where to put their focus. And whenever people ask me like, oh, is this coin bad or good for me? I always say, it's not that a coin is bad or good for you. It's knowing when and how much put into it. Those are the two key points, because you want to match that energy, right, with your numbers. You don't want something that's going to counter it and ultimately cause you to lose trust or lose money in something. So my intention really with Numerology of Crypto is to educate people from the lens of numerology while learning about crypto.
Right. That sounds really awesome. And as always, like you've got to match it up with the technicals and the fundamentals to make the decision. But I find it a really useful tool that's helping me preserve capital and not lose, right? Especially if you're doing day trading. It's really awesome, because another day you talked about it when we were saying, hey, why don't you come and be one of our speakers? And you were saying, what are you getting about the 14th of September? And I was saying, well, Vedic astrology is the 13th all the way through to the 15th and 16th is choppy. And what happened? It was choppy, right? We had dumps and pumps and dumps and pumps. Yeah. And within a short range, so nothing really took off and nothing really dumped too hard. So it is worth learning more about. So we have a personal number. And then cryptos have a personal number. How do you work that out?
So I would look at like your numbers, right, Nicola? Like, we know you're born on a 6 day.
Yeah.
And then we would look at what coins match the 6 vibration or other numbers that naturally match, like 3 and 9 would naturally match that. Mm-hmm. And then we would also look at the personal month and personal year you're in. And then we could talk about, okay, of course, be mindful, look at the trends of the market. You don't want to just look at one thing. You want to look at the whole picture. But then what I would do is say, okay, being that you're born on a 6th day, being that we're approaching a 6th personal year, this is going to be a really good year for you. Which cryptos would I invest in? Well, Bitcoin is one, right? Because it has the 369 energy in it. XRP is another really good one because the 6 with the 22 energy really is a good balance as far as the foundation, stability, and structure that you're drawn to with the XRP. Okay. And then we could look also at, okay, are you wanting to do that short, mid, long-term investment? And we could talk about like a timeline as far as like, how long do you want to hodl that coin for? When do you want to start pulling profits out? We could look at dates for that as well. I don't like to be black and white with dates. I like to give time frames. I think that it's more prudent, right? Especially because we also want to be realistic with the trends of the market, you know, because
there's also manipulation in the market that you can't see, right? So if you're married to the date and you're really stiff about the date rather than just using it as a tool, you know, to observe and watch, you can get caught out on those really big wicks and those manipulation moments.
And I always like to say, what's your number? Meaning like what number, like pull out your initial investment, right? Always be smart about that. But then also go like, what number would you be happy hitting so that you don't get past that point and then have the window of opportunity lost? So like, let's say you put $100 into XRP and then that $100 turned into 500 and 500 was how much you wanted to make. I'd say, okay, don't start getting too greedy. You know, pull out your profits, and then we can do like that strategy of like buying back in if you want, or you made some money and you're happy with it. Now on to the next coin. But I always like, especially with clients who are brand new to crypto, to just start with one. Keep it simple. Start with one, get your feet wet, you know, learn the ins and outs, you know, only put in what you're willing to risk, right? And then from there, we can kind of see how that works. And then we can start building your portfolio.
Yeah. And then that could either work, that could even work too with people who are trading. So we've got the hodl, we've got spot trading, which is just buying low, selling high, buying low, selling high to accumulate coins. And then the margin trading, which is obviously a lot more risky. So we talk about on this channel as a portfolio, 80 in the beginning, when you're starting, at least 80 to 90% of your portfolio you should hold and stake. So you're earning just through capital gain and then through staking, which is like saving. So you're accumulating small coin that way. Spot trading, the other 10%, and then margin trading, the other 10%. So you can offset losses in margin trading while you're learning. So we could even use numerology to figure out what is the actual personal balance for you, for your, you know, for where it's going to go, right? How much to hodl, how much to trade.
Right. So yeah, we look at all those variables, you know, just like anything else. It's not just one way or another. I don't have one set way that I work with clients. You know, I'm very much about customizing, tailoring what their needs are, right? Getting an input form from them and then creating a plan based on that versus just going, this is the only way based on your numbers, based on the coins that you want to buy in, right? I gather that information before I look at the numbers and then we come up with a plan. You know, I've already done the breakdown of numbers for over 100 coins. So I kind of just refer to that. And then what I do is look at the client's, you know, blueprint, and then I look at what's going on in the market. And then I kind of just make some suggestions according to that. And then, you know, we kind of do a tracking method where it's like, okay, we do check-ins, like, you know, every 2 weeks, every month, every quarter, depending on what their strategy is.
Right. So if people wanted to work with you, can they work with you? They want to have a personal session?
Yeah.
We're going to leave it. We're going to drop a link down below, right at the top there and in the pinned comment section, for you to go over to Lisa's website and her social media and so on, so that if you're wanting to have a session with her to get your personal numbers and figure out, you know, what cryptos you're more resonant with, and that'll be for you, and you can go over and just book that session with her. I highly recommend it. It's really quite exciting and it's eye-opening. For me, Lisa, it's like I already had like Cardano, XRP, and Ethereum are my 3 biggest holdings. Like Bitcoin is my biggest holding. It might be at some stage, but it isn't at the moment. But it's interesting to see that, oh, they fit me perfectly with my personal number.
Yeah. And it's, this is we were talking about today. And I know we talked right before we went on the interview, and I didn't know your birthday. So I was like, wow, okay. It's also, even if you've been in crypto, this is what I want to end with. Even if you've been in crypto and you're like, oh, I know crypto, it's good to confirm, right? Have confirmation that what you're investing in is aligned with your own numbers, your cycles. And it's good for peace of mind as you get more practice and exposure to the crypto worlds, the utility of them, how reading charts, everything that comes with crypto.
Yeah. So finally, I just want to ask this question. Is there a cryptocurrency magic number? And what is the magic number for Bitcoin?
You mean the final end number?
Yeah.
Or now?
What is Bitcoin? Like Bitcoin has a number, right? Like if you added up all the numbers of the letters and what have you, it comes to a number. So what is Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin's actual number is 9. So what that's 9, right? And what's interesting, right? Satoshi Nakamoto. Satoshi Nakamoto, his numeric vibration was this person, this alias is 9. Okay. He, her, I don't want to assume. And then the year that Bitcoin was introduced to the world, 2009, which is an 11, which is illumination, the truth.
Gateway.
Okay. So you have, right. Exactly. Everything that illuminates the truth is Bitcoin, which is very fascinating to me. So to answer your question, I strongly feel that Bitcoin could hit at least $500,000 in the next 5 to 10 years, probably closer to 5 years. I mean, like we were talking about, exponential growth, adoption, those are going to play into it. And I think the direction that we're going in as a world, right? The digital currency and everything is going to be, it's just going to skyrocket. So I always say, if you have Bitcoin, no matter how turbulent the market is, look at it as an asset and just hodl, just put it in your wallet and do not touch it, out of sight, out of mind, because it's going to be worth a whole lot more than it is right now. I mean, if you look at what 10,000 Bitcoins could buy in 2009, $15 worth of pizza, and that 10,000 Bitcoins is worth over $350 million now, you woulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda. So I always say, do the shoulda, coulda, woulda now, and just put that money, and do not look at the markets every day unless you're a trader, right? Like, just know that there's going to be ups and downs, and and trust the process, because crypto is the gateway to financial freedom and sovereignty and time freedom and everything that it represents.
Yeah. I like it that it's a number 9. It's all about ascension, because for me, I see Bitcoin and altcoins and cryptos in general, NFTs particularly, as being part of the ascension to the new financial system. I don't think that it is the new financial system, but it's certainly a move in that direction, because never before have we had the concept or the level of consciousness to say, I'm going to have utility and I'm going to have value. And when we exchange cash for coin, there is more going on than just exchange. Whereas with money, all that's going on is somebody's making money and somebody's losing money, right? That's all that's happening there. And then they're gaining value in what it is they're buying, hopefully. Sometimes they're not gaining value at all if it's credit card debt. But you know what I mean? That's all that's going on there. Whereas with Bitcoin being an inflationary coin, altcoins being inflationary, there isn't just an exchange for your cash for the coin. There's also massive investment going on in capital gain. And then with the altcoins, there's also the investment in the project. I like Cardano because of its whole humanitarian change maker concept of wanting to build equity in countries that find it really difficult because of their currency trading with US dollars, right? And I like XRP. I mentioned that in the beginning because I thought that this was going to be pivotal for the crypto industry in general. So we have so much more added to our exchange, and now NFTs. There's this concept of, you know, these non-fungible tokens that you know, you can, once you have it, it can never be taken away from you. And then and then that's a concept that's very interesting, because normally, you know, anything can get taken away from you. So I just find that quite explosive, and that's just the beginning. Like, we're just
you're literally scraping the surface. It's like, you know, if you know, I'm here in the United States, and the USD is over 107 years old, and crypto is only 12 years old. So just to give perspective, we're just getting started. But I am going to be talking more on the Conscious Crypto Summit, specifically about the coins we talked about today, more in depth, but also Solana. So I just want to kind of say that I've had some pretty interesting discoveries with Solana recently, and I'm excited to share that on the summit.
Yeah, and I have a list of coins I want you to look at as well. Not a big list. And then some of our participants who've already bought their tickets are sending in their questions of what they'd like to have a look at. So guys, if you want more of Lisa and you want 3 days being surrounded by other cryptocurrency traders, whether you're just beginning and you need knowledge before you go into the market, or you're in the market and you lost a lot of money, so you need good technical analysis training, or whether you're seasoned and you want to be with the likes of, you know, some of the top traders in the industry, make sure you get your ticket to the Conscious Crypto event. Link is in the description below. Lisa, it's been great. I'm sure we could talk for hours and hours, and I definitely want to have you back at pivotal moments as we go through these dates that you were talking about. And I'm going to I'll leave an end screen with all of the dates that we talked about today, so you guys can make sure you've got them in your notes. And I'll be seeing you, Lisa, and on the 15th of October.
I'm so looking forward to it. Nicola, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Bye, guys. And by the way, if you like what we're doing here, we would love your subscription. Hit the bell, click all, and you're going to be notified of when we upload videos. We're doing tutorial videos every day. We go live every Wednesday. And of course, we love a thumbs up for this video, because we gave some dates for you to be aware of. And I think that has a lot of value. And thanks a lot. Bye, Lisa.